Look at this. It's the modern symbol of health, isn't it? The green superfood smoothie. Into this blender, we throw 3 cups of raw spinach, a handful of raw almonds, maybe some kale, and a scoop of seeds. We drink it down, thinking we are doing the absolute best thing for our bodies. We imagine those vitamins rushing into our cells, making us stronger, leaner, and more energetic. But what if I told you that for many of you, this glass isn't a health potion? It's a chemical cocktail that your body is struggling to survive. Welcome to Levitas. What if the brain fog, the bloating, the joint pain, or even that kidney stone you passed last year wasn't caused by the junk food you ate, but by the healthy food you're forcing down every morning? Today, we are going to talk about the hidden chemical warfare that plants wage against us. Now, before you panic, I am not here to tell you to never eat a vegetable again. I'm a doctor. I know the power of plants. But I am here to tell you that you might be eating them wrong. Let's fix that. And while we do it, please hit that like button and leave a comment. Your support really helps the channel with the algorithm. To understand why your smoothie might be hurting you, you have to think like a biologist for a second. Imagine you are a plant. You are rooted in the ground. You cannot run away. You cannot fight back with claws or teeth, but you have predators. Insects, animals, and humans. They all want to eat you. So how do you survive? How do you ensure your species continues? You fight with chemistry. Over millions of years, plants have evolved sophisticated defense mechanisms designed specifically to make them unpleasant, or even dangerous, to eat. These are what we call anti-nutrients. Research in evolutionary biology is very clear on this. These compounds aren't mistakes, they are weapons. They are designed to cause digestive distress, to block nutrient absorption, or to damage the gut lining of the predator so that the predator learns, don't eat this plant. The problem is, we humans are stubborn. We've been told that if a little is good, a lot is better. So we take these potent chemical compounds like the ones found in raw spinach or unsoaked grains, and we consume them in massive concentrated doses that our ancestors never would have dreamed of. Let's start with the most common offender. The one sitting in your fridge right now, oxalates. Oxalates are an organic acid found in high concentrations in spinach, chard, rhubarb, and almonds. Now, in the plant, oxalates regulate calcium. But in your body, they can act like shrapnel. When you consume high amounts of oxalates, like in that daily raw spinach smoothie, the oxalic acid binds with calcium in your blood. It forms calcium oxalate crystals. These crystals are microscopic, but under a microscope, they look like shards of glass. They are sharp, and they have to go somewhere. For many people, they lodge in the kidneys. In fact, clinical data confirms that roughly 80% of kidney stones are calcium oxalate stones. If you've ever passed a kidney stone, you know the pain is excruciating. That is literally your body trying to pass a jagged rock made from the healthy spinach and almond milk you've been consuming. But it's not just kidneys. Research suggests that in susceptible individuals, these crystals can deposit in other tissues. They can lodge in joints, causing inexplicable pain that mimics arthritis. They can even irritate the vulva in women, causing a condition called vulvodynia. I had a patient recently. She was eating clean, perfect diet, but she had chronic joint pain and bladder irritation. We looked at her diet, 2 massive raw spinach salads and an almond milk latte every single day. She was overdosing on oxalates. We swapped the raw spinach for arugula, stopped the almond milk, and within 3 weeks, her pain dropped by half. Next, let's talk about the chemical warfare that happens in your gut. Let's talk about lectins. Lectins are sticky proteins found in legumes, grains, and nightshades like tomatoes and peppers. Plants produce them to paralyze insects that try to eat them. Think of lectins like Velcro. When you eat them, especially if they aren't prepared correctly, they travel down to your intestine and they look for sugar molecules to bind to. Unfortunately, the lining of your gut, the epithelial wall, is covered in these sugar molecules. So the lectins attach to your gut lining. This is where it gets interesting and a little scary. We have to look at the groundbreaking work of Dr. Alessio Fasano. He discovered a molecule called zonulin. Zonulin is the gatekeeper of your gut. It controls how tight the barrier is between your intestines and your bloodstream. When you consume certain lectins, and especially gluten, which is a type of lectin, It triggers the release of zonulin. Zonulin tells the cell walls to open up. The tight junctions break apart. Now you have microscopic holes in your gut. This is intestinal permeability, or what we commonly call leaky gut. Now, bacteria, toxins, and undigested food particles leak into your bloodstream where they don't belong. Your immune system sees them, freaks out, and attacks. This is the mechanism behind so much chronic inflammation, brain fog, and autoimmunity we see today. You aren't just what you eat, you are what you tolerate. And many of us are not tolerating these lectins. So we have crystals in the kidneys and holes in the gut. Now, let's talk about robbery. Let's talk about phytic acid. This is found heavily in grains, seeds, nuts, and legumes. Oats are a prime example. You eat oatmeal because the box says it's high in iron and zinc, right? You look at the nutrition label, you see 50% daily value of iron, and you think, great, I'm covered. Here is the difference between label nutrients and bioavailable nutrients. Phytic acid is a chelator. That's a fancy chemical word that means it grabs onto minerals and refuses to let go. When you eat unprepared oats or raw nuts, the phytic acid sits in your gut and binds to zinc, iron, magnesium, and calcium. It creates an insoluble complex that your body cannot absorb. You might be eating the iron, but you aren't keeping the iron. It passes right through you. This is why we see mineral deficiencies even in people who eat healthy plant-based diets. You can be eating a nutrient-dense diet on paper, but if you are consuming high phytic acid with every meal, you are effectively starving yourself of minerals. It's like depositing a check into a bank account that is frozen. The money is there, but you can't spend it. Okay, take a deep breath. I know that sounds heavy. You might be looking at your pantry thinking, Doc, what am I supposed to eat? Air? Here's the good news. The problem isn't the plants. The problem is how we have forgotten to prepare them. Our ancestors knew about these toxins. They didn't have microscopes, but they had wisdom. They knew that if they ate raw beans, they got sick. If they ate raw grains, they got weak. So they developed technologies to disarm these anti-nutrients. If you want to eat these foods safely, you need to use the 3 Ds: damp, duration, and deactivation. First, soaking. For nuts and beans, simply soaking them in water for 12 to 24 hours reduces phytic acid significantly. It activates an enzyme called phytase that breaks the anti-nutrient down. If you eat almonds, buy them sprouted or soak them yourself. Second, pressure cooking. Remember lectins. The gut destroyers, most lectins are destroyed by high heat. A pressure cooker, like an Instant Pot, is a lectin killing machine. It destroys the lectins in beans and nightshades effectively. This is why traditional cultures always cooked their beans thoroughly. Third, fermentation. This is the holy grail. Sourdough bread is the perfect example. The wild yeast and bacteria eat the sugars and break down the gluten and phytic acid for you. Real, long-fermented sourdough is much easier on the gut than quick-rise commercial bread. And for that spinach, cook it. Steaming or boiling spinach and dumping the water reduces the oxalate content by 30 to 80%. Stop putting raw spinach in smoothies. If you want greens in a smoothie, use arugula or romaine. They are naturally low in oxalates. The doctor's verdict. Here is the bottom line. Health isn't about following a trend you saw on social media. It's about understanding your biology. Plants are medicine, but they are also powerful. Respect them. If you are suffering from gut issues, joint pain, or low energy, try changing how you eat your plants. Soak your organic oats. Cook your spinach. Ferment your grains. You don't need to fear food. You just need to be smarter than your vegetables. If you found this helpful, I want you to try one thing this week. Swap your raw spinach for cooked, or switch your standard bread for real sourdough, and see how your gut feels. Watch this video suggestion. It was especially picked for you. Also share, comment, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. It helps a ton with the algorithm. Remain tuned for future videos to empower your health and fitness journey. So, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep going.